Welcome, my dear seekers and finders, to the Way of Truth number 54. My name is Artem Boytsev. I am a spiritual teacher. I live in San Francisco Bay Area, and I teach the path to liberation through a combination of meditation, compassionate presence, inquisitive dialogue, and direct transmission. So, here is my website. It contains a large collection of my writings on the topic of spiritual enlightenment, liberation, meditation, other spiritual traditions, the ego. And it also has information about our retreats. I host intensive integration retreats in Northern California and in Europe. This year, unfortunately, there will be no retreat in Europe, but next year there probably will be. So it depends on demand. And I also see students at my home. So the website also contains information about how to schedule a one-on-one session with me, either in video or in person, and how to join our online community. So in this this series of bi-weekly satsangs, I host them once every couple of weeks. They are broadcasted on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And here I speak to my students, but also to everybody. These are open satsangs. I answer questions, I provide guidance, we share our experiences on the spiritual path. So if you have any questions, if you would like to talk to me or share something, share your experience, if you need guidance, if you have questions, then please join. By far the best way to join these satsangs is by participating live. Interactive participation with the teacher is always much better than text. So you can follow this link. I'm using StreamYard. It's a web-based software, so all you need is a browser, and I'll be able to bring you on screen and we can have a conversation. But if for whatever reason you don't want to do that, just please submit your questions or comments into YouTube or Facebook, and I'll be able to bring them on screen and address them. So with that being said, we have two guests today, and both of them are my long-term students, and for now, but they're in the guest room. But as I said, anybody can join. I'll be happy to speak to anybody. Kino says hello, hi Kino. So we have Patrick and Dag, and we'll start with Patrick. Hey, buddy.
Hey, Arjun. Do you hear me good with the headphones on?
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Yeah, yesterday was crazy. Like I write to you. But I have a different question now. I want to know your opinion about the Dr. Hawkins consciousness scale with the emotional. What is your take of it? Because I think like on the bottom end you have something like agony or shame, and he has different levels of the emotions. What is your experience with that?
So, if that is the scale that I think you're referring to, it's a widely circulated thing on the internet. It also goes to, there are columns like self view, God view. There are terms like equanimity, love, acceptance. I think it goes up also to the various levels of realization. I think it has like 10 levels overall or more. I don't quite remember. I saw it
Yep.
many times. I actually like it a lot. I think it's fairly accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the there are two caveats. So if you like looking at this scale, and anybody, not just you, and like trying to figure out where am I here, uh, it has a couple. You need to keep a couple of things in mind. So first of all, you can absolutely revisit kind of specific positions. I mean, you can one day you can find yourself in the state of deep equanimity and bliss, and then another day you're experiencing very painful shame or some emotions. So it's uh, so you can jump back and forth many times until the full integration slowly takes place. And even with on the higher levels, such as love, equanimity, benevolence, whatever terms that they use, you can still kind of enter a specific state of mind where these qualities will become more apparent than you usually experience as a continued process of deeper integration. So, so it's a very cyclical, it's a very wave-like process. One of the great analogies that I like very much is enlightenment is like throwing a rock onto the surface of a lake. So self-realization, what I call self-realization, so what I call enlightenment is the resulted state. What I call self-realization is this event. So self-realization is exactly throwing the rock. So it creates lots of waves, the big splash, and then over the course of subsequent years, these waves, they begin to slowly diminish. So what I call enlightenment is the process where the lake looks still, as if the stone hasn't been thrown into it, but of course it has been. And you can even on some level, you can even say that the waves never completely recede; they just become smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and then suddenly they, well, not suddenly, but slowly they kind of invisible. So so it's a very cyclical process. You can revisit multiple aspects of it many times for deeper integration. Nevertheless, his kind of hierarchy, his sequence of those kind of levels is more or less accurate, because some aspects of it, like for example love or equanimity, are simply not accessible up until a certain point of time. Then they become accessible. It can be very intense, and then you can revisit it again and again and again. And the more you have integrated it, the less intense the revisiting will be. So kind of the more and more subtle aspects of these aspects will be experienced. And another caveat that I would like to make with regards to the scale is that the lower, especially the lower levels, so even with the higher levels, this is true, what I said before, but especially the lower, the lower levels, the lower levels, especially in the modern mind, sometimes are not even very distinctly parsable into kind of specific states of consciousness. So like I could say that, for example, in my experience, the lower level of consciousness, like my life in the dream state could be characterized as a kind of a turbulent mix of all of this kind of lower states of consciousness. But there's no way that I could look at the lower states and say, well, okay, I spent like a year or some time in this. I spent like then the next chapter of my life, then I spent in this next chapter.
Yeah.
At the higher levels, that's actually more or less possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I can tell like when, in retrospect, of course, always in retrospect. So I can tell like when I entered a higher level and like I spent a significant amount of time there, and then I moved further. And even though I revisited still some aspect of it, but still, I mean, I guess I could get some timeline. But on the lower level, it's completely impossible. And that's why actually I don't speak very much about the lower chakras also. So the seven chakras, they also kind of roughly corresponds to those states of consciousness, the seven levels of awakening, so to speak. Osho spoke about seven bodies, things like that. So they kind of roughly correspond to that. I don't know why this is true. Maybe I don't know why this is so. Maybe the mind in the ancient times, which was much more heavily conditioned with violence, and like maybe it was, yeah, or in some people maybe it was more kind of visible, or maybe there were some transitions. I could not find any transitions between the lower four bodies, but the first, in the terminology of Osho, the first body, the first authentically non-dual body, the spiritual body. I mean, that was quite that was a transition. So it's basically discovering the witness. So but nevertheless, even the low stages, they kind of are coming back to talking about this map. They're kind of at least descriptive in some way about the aspects of consciousness in the dream state. So I like this map. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I saw it. Some people they have like stairs. First, you have to go through all this part, then you can go to the next chapter, something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Although in
Yeah,
practice, it oftentimes look like this, and then this,
yeah.
and then you go higher and higher and higher. But yeah, I mean, certainly the higher levels are certainly not accessible
For,
before you go through some lower stuff. Yeah,
in my experience, is something a little bit jumping. Like you touch a little bit on the higher levels, and then another layer of the deeper levels shows itself.
yeah.
And then you have to go this and accept it and working through it, and then you have access to another part of the higher level.
That's right. That's right. Yes, and so when there's a lot of this kind of lower level, and the higher level aspects are completely invisible or inaccessible, then it feels like this lower is the only reality that exists. Like this, for example, shame or pain or seeking or suffering is the only thing that exists. And the more of the higher levels or aspects of facets of consciousness, we could say, the more they manifest themselves, and the more you are deeply established and rooted in them, the subtler and easier the manifestation of the lower stuff becomes. So it's a kind of a very slow dissolving eradication of the conditioning, even though some jumps, some shifts can feel discontinuous and complete and very profound and extraordinary, kind of complete in their in the shift itself. Still, the all the path forward, all the progress necessarily uncovers the remaining conditioning. It just becomes subtler and subtler and subtler.
Yeah. For me, what about it was yesterday really surprised in my trip was the ego is the master in hide and seek
Oh yeah.
and hides in parts in the body. It's so crazy. Like yesterday was in my left leg, like in the area of the knee and in my face. And this Joker thing was happening yesterday, which was really maniac laugh what there happened.
Okay, so I really have to make a comment here in order not
Yeah,
to confuse some people. So I understand that it could feel phenomenologically this way, but just so that people don't get misled, the ego is not some entity or something that you can find in the body. The ego is actually not something that has a location in the body. So if you try to find the ego in the body, like, okay, oh, I found you, and then I kind of put a finger on it. This is never the ego. The ego so it doesn't hide in a specific location in the body. The ego is a rather large conglomeration of false beliefs, self-image, the emotional pain and suffering associated with this with these false beliefs, that creates a lot of implications, experientially speaking, on how you experience your body. So so it's a kind of, you can say that it's a sum total of wrong view, and it's a sum total of suffering. So what you feel when you feel the specific, when you feel some specific location in the body and it feels like, oh, this is the ego, then it's not like the ego hides in the specific location in the body. It's that there is either a specific emotion, energy, or tension, that is manifesting in this specific region of the body.
Yeah, this was what I'm feeling, like a tension in my face, a really big
Exactly.
tension.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean like for I think for you it wouldn't really make any difference. Like, did I explain it or not? You would still keep feeling those tensions. But for some other people
Yeah.
who might get this idea from how you're describing it, that you can locate the ego itself in the body,
Yeah.
no. So as I, for example, was going through the transformation, I felt energetic stuff and tensions all out throughout the body. So in various places, like it could be muscle tensions, it could be kind of energetic tensions, it could be neurological tensions. If you look at the whole process as the process of your whole neural system rewiring itself into the natural state, and the neural system is also not just the brain. I also felt all sorts of tensions in all sorts of locations throughout all the brain and the skull.
Yeah.
But also it covers with the neural system every inch of your body. So there could be tensions in very strange, unusual places. Of course, there are some things like fear tends to, for example, universally manifest in people as tension in the gut and in other ways. But the gut, the feeling in the stomach is quite common when people experience fear. There could be lots of experiences in the chest. It doesn't mean that you kind of located the ego here and then you can sort of pinpoint it here and kind of lock it here and dissolve it here. You dissolve a specific kind of manifestation of the ego as it manifests right now. But then, so when it shows up in a different place, don't take this view of, oh, okay, I thought you were here and now you moved there. No. It's just the continuous kind of process of integration of that will touch and transform a lot of places in your body and how you experience the world and all your senses.
Yeah. Yeah, it felt like afterwards my brain is rewiring after that happened. And something also happening right now. Something is rewiring in the background.
Yeah.
But like you said, the conglomeration and of tension and energy it makes much more sense now. Yeah.
So it's a process of continued integration. Yeah, you'll rewiring the mind to be in alignment with truth.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. So thank you for answering my questions.
Of course, it's my pleasure. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I will continue the path.
Yes, please. All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, and we have Dag. Hi, Dag.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I've come on here today because I'm quite sure that some people will surely relate to what I'm going to describe. I think I'm slowly starting to approach something that is, it's still kind of hazy in some ways. I'm sometimes faced lately with what I could call maybe in a way like emptiness of everything, but also simultaneously kind of at least a seeming recognition of utter meaninglessness. And also there is emotional content under the surface there still. I haven't begun to explore all of that yet fully. But I think there's also a kind of detached or even depressive component to it. But I think I'm starting to see that it seems to me that there's in a way no inherent meaning to any of this that I'm experiencing, like all sense perceptions and things, and it also ties in with, in a way, being a bit more just here, if you will. I still have a lot of opinions and dreams about the future, but I think I'm also starting to recognize them as at least less accurate, or less of an end all be all than I used to. It also ties in with that I'm in kind of a transition period in my life currently, where I'm finishing my studies slowly and asking the question of how to continue, and with that comes, at least on some level, seeing like the whole thing of career as totally empty in a way, at least as in that it will add anything to me, to my life, in a very fundamental way. And it's just beginning, but it's kind of confusing, and it can be quite scary to also see this seeming emptiness, because immediately, almost like the question internally arises, like what's all this for, in a way, then? Like, it's just it's hard to even really put into words what actually happens when this realization dawns. But yeah, it's kind of difficult, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's an actual question here anywhere. It's
Well, I can just say a couple of things. Well, first of all, this is great. This is what you're going through is completely normal. You're progressing nicely. Yes, the meaningless can get kind of scary, and the attachment to the stories about the non-existent future or the past is directly inversely proportional to the ability to be and enjoy the present moment. You see, the interesting thing about meaning, I mean, meaning is a relative instrument, so to speak, right? So kind of course, I'm looking at my laptop. I mean, I understand what the laptop is, so we cannot say that like it's completely meaningless, right? But the meaning in the separated state is very different. It has this kind of big philosophical component, the meaning of life, and it's very connected to your search for happiness, to your quest for happiness. And of what should I do? What must I do? How do I have to be to finally become happy? And that's actually a distraction, because the mind is a meaning-making machine. There's nothing wrong with it when you're talking about the external world. But when this money-making machine turns into, let me try to make some sense and try to resolve my suffering that is actually the product of years of suppression and denial, it cannot be resolved this way. So we create this kind of false, elaborate structures about the meaning of life or our purpose, all in an attempt to create a life that is devoid of suffering, the life that is happy, but the true path is actually looking at the suffering that is already there. You see? So in a kind of in because we do this in denial of this of the suffering that we have accumulated.
Yes.
Because we don't want to look there.
No.
And so this kind of meaning gets eviscerated. This kind of meaning gets destroyed on the spiritual path. Ultimately, life has no meaning. The meaning of life is life itself. Life is most of all, firstly, fundamentally, an experience.
Yeah.
And the meaning, the philosophy tries to put the cart in front of the horse, so to speak. You see, life, the most important part of life is the experience of it itself. All of the emotions, sensations, and pain and beauty and everything, every single thing, you know. But the mind is trying to make a meaning out of it, because the mind actually very deeply is trying to ask the question, why am I suffering? Why am I not satisfied? And this question lies in whatever we carry from the past. This question lies in whatever we have rejected, whatever we have denied. The answer. And so this relationship with meaning can be very painful and scary to let go of, because we think there's some safety here. And you already started to realize things about career, right? You can still have a beautiful, wonderful, fulfilling career, even in complete enlightenment. There's nothing wrong with that. But what is falling away, what is getting dissolved, is the idea actually instilled by society that was unconsciously taken on, that lack of, let's say, fulfilling career is what makes you unhappy. And if you had that, you would be happy. None of this is true. The happiness, and the same thing with romantic relationship, like the search for happiness in the external circumstances, because that's what society is telling us. Yeah, if only you had that, then you would be happy. But that's not true. The happiness is internal, right? And what's the meaning of it all? What's the point of it all? The point of life is to live it, right? The point of it is the experience. And the deeper you are at peace with the experience, the more you are open, accepting of everything that comes your way as an experience, the more happiness blossoms, the more beautiful it becomes, the more content you become. You see?
Yeah. And I have seen some of that for sure.
And you are slowly continuing to see more and more. So it's good. And it is scary. Yeah, it is scary and somewhat disorienting, because this is not what we used to, right? We used to live in a way that we always chase some achievement or chase some change in our life, hoping that's going to make us happy.
Yeah.
But the truth is, our happiness is our birthright, and change is just a part of life. It's not the source of happiness.
Yes. Still seems quite far away, this innate happiness, oftentimes. And it's interesting that you'd say, because it ties in, what would you say, it ties in very nicely, that I'm seeing many considerations that I have, and even a lot of things that I've done in my life often had this connotation of being a means to an end, in a way. And I think I'm starting to see that on some very fundamental level, it's never going to be any different than what it is right now. And in that lies, that can bring up a lot. And especially, I just saw this question arise as well, like, wait, then even all of my struggle and suffering is for nothing?
Yeah.
And that can be quite disheartening, because it then seems that with the dawning realization of a better future being taken away, it can very much seem like the only thing I have is, or that I'm doomed to suffer in this moment without any hope of it ever being different or better. And that, I think I intuit somewhere that that's not entirely true necessarily, but
it's not entirely true. But there lies a paradox. You know, surrender your hope for the better future, and it will appear. because you know, the hope for the better future is actually the plea not to suffer. So it's a it is also in some way a manifestation of resistance to what's going on right now.
Yes.
So if what's going on right now is the suffering, then embrace the suffering. Take pleasure in the suffering. You know.
Yeah. I oftentimes see myself like, okay, I hear that, and I think I know what it means, but I also can't actively do that, if you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very interesting process. Your ego has no control over it at all.
Yes.
You kind of resist until something changes.
Yes.
And oftentimes it changes when at the peak of pain, basically the peak of despair. You see, and where you think that, like, that's it, you know, it's just completely hopeless, and something opens up.
Yeah.
So Daniel says, I think it's related to our conversation, kind of like how the point of life is life itself, the point of suffering is its own resolution through the experience of the suffering itself. Yeah, you can put it this way. Yeah.
That's an interesting take.
Yeah. So the point, you can say that the point of suffering is for you to learn to enjoy all of you, is to learn to love all of you, is to learn to love even your suffering, is to learn to not resist even the difficult parts of life. And in this surrender, in this openness, the life blossoms, your experience blossoms.
Yes. It's quite difficult having dreams taken away.
Yeah, but I mean, fundamentally, all dreams are nightmares, you know, because
Yes.
even if your dream is of something really, really nice and really, really pleasant, there's another side of this dream, which is it means that what is happening right now is really, really bad, and you need to conjure up, you need to fantasize about something. So there's even in good dreams, even in beautiful dreams, there's an element of tragedy.
Yes. And it's not to mention that it is thoroughly exhausting.
Yeah.
Constantly reaching for that in some
That's
way
right.
or another. If
That's
not
right.
if not actively, as in action, at least mentally.
Yeah.
That's
It
thoroughly exhausting.
and mental and energetic, it actually takes a lot of effort. Actually, resistance takes a lot of effort.
Yes.
You see, so that's why enlightenment is a very deep relaxation. So it's lightness also.
Right there in the name.
Yeah. Trying to continuously control what you're going to experience, trying to continuously predict what you're going to experience, then yearning for something, imagining how things will be, right? Instead of paying attention to how things are now. All of this takes a lot of effort.
Yes.
And even on the bodily level, resisting emotions takes effort. It's a physical, you know.
Yes.
Every emotion is a physical experience. The sooner you just allow it and let it go through your body, the lighter it will be. So if you have been resisting and suppressing your feelings, as most people do for years and decades, it takes quite a toll on the body. I mean, that's why we have an epidemic of autoimmune diseases, for example. I mean, that's why even cancer is connected very much to stress.
Yeah.
If there's a chronic tension in the body, it leads to chronic inflammation.
Yeah. And it's interesting to have this. I often find myself at the point where, in some level, intellectually, I have realized that holding all this is very exhausting and not or quite detrimental. And yet there's so much habitual holding on and resisting and tension that I couldn't possibly be like, no, I'm just gonna let it go. That's not how it works.
Yeah, that's not how it works. Yeah, that's why it's practice. I mean, you
Yeah.
you have to see it again and again and again for thousands of times.
Yeah,
How-
literally.
yeah, literally for thousands of times. How you resist, and you're like, no, 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 no. And then finally, you're like, okay, okay, okay,
All
okay.
right.
You go through it, and then you go, "Phew." So nice. And you have to literally see it for thousands of times.
Yes.
And then it becomes your second nature, and then practice becomes automatic and effortless, and then at some point you don't even have a say in practice because any resistance is seen to be so absurd that it's just the mind
Yeah.
automatically explores every pain and discomfort. But in the beginning, that's why we practice. That's why meditation is very important.
I have peeked behind that curtain a few times, but it's
Oh,
it's also the mentioned steps and non-linear process in this case again.
you will see it again.
Yeah.
You will peak again, and
Mhm.
at one day least expected of you, the curtain is just gonna fall.
All right.
And you won't believe it's happened.
I'm probably gonna give you a call because I'm freaking out about that.
All right. Well, it was good speaking to you, my friend.
Yes, likewise. Thanks for the time.
Bye. All right, so I have another guest. I don't think that I spoke to him before. His name is Thiago. Hi, Thiago. Do I
Hey,
pronounce
Tim,
it?
how are you?
Hi. Good.
Yeah, in Brazil we say Thiago.
Thiago. Okay, Thiago. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I was just curious about all of these. I didn't know that just entering I would be a guest, but I'm okay with it. Just
Yeah,
let's
I
just talk.
mean, and for everybody else, if you want to just watch, you can watch on YouTube. It's in live
Mhm.
translation, and if you go to StreamYard, then you'll be in my guest room. So
Cool, that's very nice of you doing this. I appreciate it. So I guess I'm gonna tell you about a little bit of my experience recently. I have been practicing self-inquiry, trying to pinpoint, although I know that it doesn't get anywhere exactly, but I'm just trying to pinpoint what it feels or seems like I am. And that has been bringing me results, if you can call that, like some releases. I've been feeling, well, that comes like once a month, so it's not regular, but I've been feeling intense fear during sessions where I just focus on that and feeling like I'm going to die if I continue. And
please
I
continue.
have been able to continue
Yeah,
recently.
please continue.
In the beginning, I would
Good.
just shit on my pants and just stop it. But right
Perfect.
now,
Love
yeah,
it.
I have been
Yeah,
continuing.
you're going into the right direction. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, that has been happening. And I used to try to do it 24/7 because of Osho and the things like being aware all the time and all of that. But recently, it has been feeling like it's really tiring, and I have been feeling less motivated. And well, the way I rationalized it is that I'm suffering less, but although I'm not completely sure, but it seems like I'm a little bit lighter now, and I'm not like remembering all the time that I should be meditating because I need to get out of this place, kind of. Um, so with that, I have been uh, trying other stuff. Like I found your channel, and you focus a lot on the feeling, whatever you're feeling in the moment, and I have been um, practicing that too. And I realized that maybe my biggest obstacle is doubt, um, which even with self-inquiry, but self-inquiry because it deals with the mind, I guess, it helped me dealing with this doubt about where am I doing okay? Am I doing right? Am I going the right direction? Uh, when I'm feeling, when I'm in a bad vibe, I usually get into doubt mode and I doubt everything that I'm doing. And that makes me sidetrack and go to another practice or try to do things in a different angle. So now I'm trying to just, if I'm having doubts, I'm trying to accept it and deal with it. And but I'm in a kind of a middle ground where sometimes I do self-inquiry, sometimes I just feel whatever I'm feeling, and that's good in a way because I used to just change practices all the time because the doubt would come and it would be a cycle, like doing something, feeling the doubt, changing the practice, and then after a while feeling the doubt again. So I guess what what's been happening is that I'm more confident in myself, and whatever I'm feeling and whatever the practice that is I'm curious about, and is giving me something, I'm following. But yeah, I still struggle with that kind of questioning myself, and I realized that I had a lot of uh, I had a desire to have like a guide, someone who would tell me this is the right practice for you. But yeah, I just couldn't believe in the end. And I had to to go through this doubt of am I doing the right thing? And I think I'm at least halfway through it, I guess, because I'm feeling more confident now with whatever I'm doing. If you have any comments on that, much
Yeah,
appreciated.
I have a few. So doubt is unavoidable. Actually, doubt creeps up when we start experiencing difficulty. That's when doubt loves to creeps up. Like and you say, even in your own example, I have some bad vibes and now I'm experiencing doubt. Maybe I should change the practice. Bad vibes in itself, or difficult emotions or fear or any difficult experience in meditation or in spiritual practice in itself does not mean that you're doing anything wrong. But the mind is very self-protective, so doubt creeps in. And it can take many forms, whether what I'm doing is productive, or maybe you should do something productive. Is enlightenment possible? Maybe it's all bullshit. Why am I doing this? But the fundamental reason for the doubtful thoughts are always the difficulty of going further. So that's probably also why you feel that you are beginning to struggle less with doubt is that you also beginning to learn to accept the difficulty. So doubt is completely normal. I personally don't see anything wrong with what you're doing. I mean, it's not possible to meditate 24/7. I mean, unless your mind is always in a meditative state, but it's not possible to practice 24/7. It can also be very exhausting. There is nothing wrong if your self-inquiry practice got you to the place where some of the emotion started to flow more freely. You got to experience fear, other things, and as you were giving them attention, you started to feel lighter. That's actually good. That's a good result. You don't have to stubbornly stick with self-inquiry. You can change to that mode of practice when you're just accepting things, you're just learning to be with any experience. That's actually the most fundamental form of practice. The most fundamental form of practice is learning to accept any experience that comes in meditation. And in some way, meditation is actually more fundamental than inquiry. The thing about inquiry that almost self-inquiry that almost no one talks about is that if you do it properly, as like in your case, it seems like that's happening. If you do it properly, then there will be fear. There will be like, oh, what's going on? Where am I going? Or am I going to die? There will be frustration. There will be doubt. There will be anger. There will be like confusion, if you're doing it properly. So sooner or later, self-inquiry also leads you to the place where you just start learning to accept all of this experience in a very physical way. And to me, that's actually an indication that you're doing something right, where you came, when it comes to self-inquiry, when that you came to the point that along with self-inquiry, you felt like you needed to just spend time with whatever experience emotionally or energetically needs your attention, needs to be processing. That to me is an indication that you're doing self-inquiry right. Right. So you can do self-inquiry wrong, always on the intellectual level, trying to figure something out and then rejecting everything that is coming in a kind of very experiential, immediate way, and then you can be doing self-inquiry for decades, and the ego is never going to drop. So, also, I wanted to note that if you feel like at this point of your life you feel lighter, you want to practice less and kind of live and enjoy more, there's nothing wrong with that either. Enjoy it. It's a long process. There's a lot to take. It's a long transformation. Every step of the way, every step of the transformation, even if you want to say, well, I don't feel like the transformation really happened, it's just like I feel lighter in this and this aspects, even if that's what you want to say, I would still say, well, enjoy it in your life. The point of the spiritual transformation is to live a very enjoyable, blissful, and righteous life. It's to be happy in life, not only in meditation. So if some aspect of happiness started to appear in life, and you say, well, actually, I now want to enjoy that, like enjoy the fruits of my practice. I want to take some time to really enjoy this somewhat changed version of me that has a somewhat different relationship with life, regardless of how much stuff you have worked through and how much kind of you feel lighter. I just want to take some time to enjoy that before I come back to practice. That's actually a very natural, completely normal thing to do. So some people might be like super hardcore, and they might lock themselves in a monasteries for 3 years and then get out. But for most of us, it's a process of continued transformation that is intertwined with life in a very intimate way. Because even after this hardcore version that I mentioned, the idea is not to stay in the monastery and then sit in the lotus position for the last for another 40, 50 years of your life until you die. But to really enjoy life fully and to live a full and beautiful and very enjoyable life. So by all means, nothing wrong with that. So just enjoy it where you are, and then sooner or later you will get called. You will call to more practice. You will again, some dissatisfaction will develop. You will say, okay, so I've enjoyed this much, I want deeper. There is more happiness to experience. There is more. I am now called to deeper exploration, to even deeper exploration. So I say always in these situations, trust yourself. Trust yourself. If you feel like you want to take a rest a little bit from the spiritual practice, do that. If you feel like this is the time when spiritual practice needs to intensify, do that.
Yeah, I can recognize in myself, like in the past at least, I had this even pride about being trying to do it all the time. Like, oh, no one is trying that. They do just 1 hour per day, and I'm trying all the time. And but I can see now that it was a sign of neuroticism because of my fear,
Exactly. Yeah. That's
fear
right.
of the future, fear of death that is
Yeah.
still here, but I think it's less now.
Cool.
So yeah, I just wanted to make sure that my future was good. So I would
Yeah.
be practicing more and more, so make it faster and get there faster.
Yeah.
So now I don't have that much of a pull to that, and so I feel like it's a time to face neuroticism
Yeah.
and try to relax, which is the
Wonderful.
biggest challenge now. Now it became easy to just do it all the time and push myself. Now the real challenge is to relax actually
Really good.
and to face the part of my mind that says you should be going towards that goal of being an enlightened being. And yeah, now it's actually harder to relax, kind of.
That's beautiful, actually. I mean, what I'm hearing is that you're very self-aware, and especially like, you know, how you identified that relaxation is actually a bigger challenge for you than to be obsessed with something, and therefore that's
Yeah.
exactly what you should be doing. That's actually very, very right approach. You see, so I think that you're completely on the right track. I certainly, you know, if you feel like it, certainly, you know, feel free to come to a retreat, schedule one-on-one meeting with me. But I'm also inviting you to our forum. I don't know if you're on our forum. I will post a link. But I don't see any need for me to right now to give you any kind of advice or correct you. I think that you are going, you're doing everything precisely right at this point.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing, by the way. That's it's a very good information that some people might benefit from. Yeah. So thank you. It was great meeting you. I'll move to other guests, but wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Artem. See you soon again.
It was nice meeting you. I hope to see you again. All right. So that was Thiago. It was very interesting and wonderful. So we have some other guests. So we have Ricardo and Margie, and I will bring them up soon. But I will make a very short interlude. So first of all, I would like to invite you, so whoever is watching, to join our forum. I will post a link right now, and Thiago also. So we have a wonderful Discord forum for my students. That's where it is. It has different channels, different tools for self-exploration. If you need support in the spiritual journey, you can find it there. So there are multiple people there, many people at different stages of the unfolding of the dream. And it can be used as a tool. It was designed specifically this way. And then also, I would like you to ask, as usual, please, if you like this video, please comment and share and like and subscribe and hit this notification button. All of this helps us to get more traffic and to promote this content, and more people who are struggling on the spiritual path might find a home, a spiritual community, a place where they are understood. Now, also, I would like you to ask if you are in a position to, if you find value from what I'm doing, if you like my content, then please support my work. So this is a URL where you can submit a one-time or monthly PayPal donation, or you can also support me on Patreon. So to those of you who already do this, thank you very much. It really helps. Unfortunately, I'm still not at the place where I can pay my bills with this, and your support will help me create more content, will help me help students that cannot afford to pay anything. It will also help me ultimately pay my bills so that I could do more work and less distraction. So we also have a nonprofit organization. It's a fully registered 501c3 nonprofit. I have a squirrel outside my window. it's eating from the bird feeder. Okay, I love squirrels. Yeah, so we have a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and for larger donations, they can be made tax deductible. So if you're in a position to support us, or some donors who do some philanthropy work who could support us, then please let me know, and I will provide you all of the information. So thank you very much for those who do this. it really helps. And then finally, I will post a link to schedule one-on-one sessions with me. So we have a it's all, by the way, all those links are also can be found on my website. So this is a link to schedule one-on-one sessions with me. We have a multiple tiers depending on your income level, and if you're financially struggling, there are also options to schedule free session and $25 sessions. But if you're not, then please choose the appropriate tier. And it's a 15-minute session. So I offer a variety of things that we can do: guided meditation, inquisitive dialogue. Even sitting in silence can actually be very, very revealing. And also, if you're in Northern California, I'm in Northern California, so you can come visit me in my home. So if you want to do the in-person session, then you can just specify that when you schedule a session, or contact me, and we can meet in person. In person, it works always much better than over video. So yeah, that is yeah. So just wanted to also mention that if you're anxious or fearful about speaking one-on-one with me, please don't be. The vast majority of people say it's very helpful, and we work through the fear and anxiety usually in the first 10-15 minutes of the session. So yes, that's the obligatory call to action that I do in all my videos, and now we'll continue with the main program. So we have Ricardo and Margie. I will start with Ricardo, and then I'll go to Margie. Okay. Ricardo, hi.
Hi, Artem. How are you doing?
Hi, it's nice to meet you. I don't think that we spoke before.
We have, in fact, spoken before, but only
Yeah.
over Discord. And
Oh,
so
okay.
I had joined your what were you using before Discord?
Slack?
Was it Slack? Yeah.
Oh my
like 5
God,
years
that
ago.
was like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Ancient
So
history.
I found you on Quora. I was reading a bunch of your answers, and Teja Anand.
Oh yeah,
That's
wonderful.
He's the first one I came across, and that's how I started to learn about non-duality. And it sort of like shattered all of my notions of what I thought spirituality was, and what I thought I had understood, because I've been doing psychedelics for a long time before that. And so I had like a very enlightened ego. And then between you and him, you sort of like burst that bubble. And I think I hit a bit of a dark night of the soul, and went through a lot of pain. And I kind of like moved on. I feel like I sort of stopped doing a lot of my, practice that sort of like let me down in a way. But very deeply, it's always been at the core of myself. Like that's something that has always never left me alone. Simply just understanding what the hell is happening. What is this? I feel like people forget that we're like in a rock floating through space and orbiting this sort of giant ball
Crazy.
of fire, and
it's insane.
what's going on? People just drive their cars, going to work and listening to music, and that's all great, but that just has never left me alone. I've always had this very inquisitive spirit, and so I've always been a seeker, and whether it's been through psychedelics or reading philosophy, science, quantum physics, just looking answers everywhere I can find. And I've been further and further convinced that everything is just, all the answers are sort of within, like through our direct experience. Is the only thing that we can be absolutely sure of.
Yep.
And I still have questions. I'm at this point where I feel like the mind is hitting a wall, but I still have a very stubborn mind, in a sense, where I still want to have a conceptual understanding. And there's the notion of the non-doership sort of trips me over. The way I've understood it so far is that essentially things are just happening on their own. And in meditation, and sometimes just in everyday experience, I have gotten into this sort of like the witness stage, I guess you could call it, where I can see things just happening, even my mind chattering or making judgments or even just acting. There's a part of me that is just observing everything that is happening. But at the same time, when it comes to, for instance, thinking about the next stages of awakening or reaching a cessation. For instance, I've been recently going through a lot of the content of with Frank Yang. I saw your conversation with him, by the way, as well, and that was very helpful. And then I discovered his channel. I was like, holy shit, this guy is like kind of like the way I've like visualized myself sometimes in like ayahuasca ceremonies and stuff, where I feel like I'm like enlightened or something. And then I see his videos and I feel like he is living that life, but like for real. It's very weird. And I don't know, maybe that's just a projection, and I'm like identifying myself with him because I feel like we have similar personalities in some regards. But I get confused with like, is doing meditation practice actually going to do anything? Is it going to help? I feel like something that I've been missing is like the like concentration. So maybe I have more practice doing like do nothing meditation, just like witness meditation, or just letting things be. But I had never tried to actually do like vipassana and like body scanning, and going through like all the sensations and those types of practices like Daniel Ingram, for instance, recommends. And so I will.
What happens when you do nothing? What is the experience like?
So I don't necessarily really have, it can be anything. It can be just thoughts. I can sometimes go into like a slight slumber where I'm like neither awake or asleep. And I wonder if I'm just like kind of like falling asleep and that's not productive, but then I kind of like snap out of it. So I have like continuous moments where maybe I start getting carried away by either the slumber or the sleep. And then part of me notices that that's happening. And there's like, then I pull back. It's like, oh, that's thinking. So like a bit of like noting, right? So like thinking, or I'll start to feel like bodily sensations. I have a back injury, and that's been like very, distracting or limiting in my practice because of the pain. And so I try to sit, but then I can't sit for long. So then I lay down.
You can do this when you lie down. You really don't have to sit. So if especially if the pain bothers you, you can absolutely do it laying down.
Okay. Yeah. The issue is like, it's easier to fall asleep,
Yeah, that's true. But also it means that you're sleep deprived. That's what I say to everybody who says, I fall asleep in meditation, and I'm saying, okay, fine, just sleep then. Just sleep then, and then go to bed early. And then if you go to bed and you cannot fall asleep, then meditate.
Yeah.
So most people are sleep deprived, so it's difficult for them to meditate.
That makes sense. Yeah. And so it's weird because sometimes I just like fall asleep, but then I'll wake up at 3 a.m. and I can't fall asleep for hours. And so I'll be laying in bed.
Use this as an opportunity to meditate.
Yes, and I do so. And
yeah, so my advice is don't fight with the body. If you started meditating and your body's falling asleep, fall asleep. But if you go to bed and the body doesn't want to fall asleep, just meditate.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Don't fight it. Just yes. go with the flow.
Okay. Yeah. So that's sort of like what I've been doing, but good to hear the confirmation. And so something that I've been learning recently is this difference between concentration, meditation, and like the do nothing, like the witnessing.
Okay, so here's what I want you to know. Strictly speaking, concentration leads to do nothing meditation, but the do nothing meditation only becomes effective when the consciousness begins expanding. So here's how to picture it. Like in your state of consciousness, for most people in the usual state of consciousness, and you will notice it if you in meditation, you can actually easily notice it. The focus of your attention, where your attention is mostly resides, is thought. So you start thinking about it. This is where you're looking. It's kind of the primary experience, thought. Your attention is kind of glued to thought. So what concentration meditation does, and it doesn't matter if you concentrate on the breath or if you start doing body scan vipassana, like you can do either. So what concentration meditation truly does, the practice, what you're practicing is giving attention to something else than thought. And if you're doing concentration meditation, that's why it takes you like to jhanas and different states of consciousness. It's just simply by the virtue of giving attention to something else than thought. If you're doing it properly, that when you will notice that, for example, if you concentrate on the breath or the bodily sensation during vipassana, if you're doing it properly, you will notice that, okay, so you've been like feeling the breath, concentrating on the breath, looking at the sensations like for a couple of seconds, and then boom, you know, what happened for the last like 5 or 10 seconds? You've been thinking again. You kind of forgot, you see, and that is not a failure. That is the moment at which you acknowledge it, and then take the attention back into the breath. That's the moment of practice. You know, so you're basically just acknowledging how the mind steals your attention, this pull of the mind, thinking, and you take your attention to somewhere else. And you do this regardless, or if you concentrate on the breath, or you concentrate on the body sensation, on some more exotic forms of concentration meditation. Like, for example, I don't remember the name, but Daniel also talks about it, I think, but it's one of my students.
Fire Casina.
What?
Fire Casina.
Yeah, exactly. This one. Yeah. Even in this, it will be the same, right? So you're looking at the imprint of the image of the candle, even in your mind's eye, but you will notice that, you started thinking about, like, I don't know, tomorrow or something else. And then you take the attention back away from the thought into the image. That's the most important moment of practice of concentration meditation. That's what you're really practicing. Now, what connection does it have with the do nothing meditation? The thing is that the way that enlightenment process works, the way that the spirituality works, once you broke this very habitual pull of fixating on thought, you start to be aware of much more in your experience. That's why people say consciousness expands. That's what kind of it becomes infinite, because the only reason consciousness feels constricted is that because the focus of attention is on thought. And then in the state of constriction consciousness, you can take it on something else, but it will still be focused. So like you will jump in the concentration meditation between thought and the breath, like between thought and the breath. But in reality, the consciousness is infinite. When this gluing is broken, you feel like such an expansion of consciousness, and you feel so much more. You effortlessly feel all the sensations in your body, along with thought, without like thought occupying the central stage and the sensations being like somewhere there. Now, when that happens, you also start feeling things very deeply that were suppressed. You start feeling suppressed emotions. It can be very scary. You start getting intellectual realization of the whole of this character that is constantly thinking and is demanding your attention actually doesn't exist. It is created by the mind. And as this character starts to dissolve or die, so to speak, there's a lot of sensations in the body. There are a lot of emotions, that just a lot of things that are happening. So that's what doing nothing meditation ultimately leads you to. So in the state where this fixation of thought is broken, the do nothing meditation will effortlessly reveal all the things that you need to feel. So you will start feeling emotions, you will start feeling tensions in the body, you will start feeling different energies. The mind might begin to hallucinate, but at the same time, you will have easy access to all of this intense emotional material that was stored in the body. So the whole unraveling begins to take place. It actually cannot take place before the fixation on thought is broken. That's why a lot of people recommend concentration meditation. That's why I also recommend concentration meditation to a lot of students. So concentration meditation is very good in the beginning. Nevertheless, the interesting thing about do nothing meditation, and that is why some teachers like Shinzen, for example, mostly recommend do nothing meditation. The interesting thing about do nothing meditation is that if you do it for long enough, the breaking, the dissolution of the fixation of thought will start happening on its own. Because the mind actually wants to come back to the natural state. And if you lie down and thinking for like 3 or 4 hours, sooner or later, you will start feeling something. You will start having some strange experiences. You see, just doing nothing, doing nothing and thinking is actually very unsatisfactory. So if you do like do nothing meditation for 4 hours every day, even if you don't invoke any other techniques, even if you don't invoke any concentration techniques, if you do absolutely nothing with your eyes closed for like 4 or 5 hours every day, you start feeling a lot of things. You start having hallucinations. It will start being psychedelic-like experience. You see? So the concentration meditation is a very important tool in the beginning that can speed this process up, because you're deliberately practicing to give the attention to something other than thought. Do nothing meditation explores this other than thought, but it's very difficult to do it in the beginning when you're mostly thinking. So that's why practice such as concentration can be helpful. Nevertheless, even if you do nothing for a very long period of time, sooner or later you'll start to break through the layers of thinking into the layers of feeling. So that's kind of the relationship between them too, which means that if you really like doing nothing, you absolutely can do it, but they just do it in a long time. Like 1 hour is not a lot of time. So you like do nothing for like 3 hours, and then like sooner or later, like you will not just be thinking for 3 hours. Sooner or later, you will start also getting into some experiential shifts, having experiences. Or you can do you can combine them too. So you can do concentration, whether in breath or Vipassana style, up to you. You can try to do both. Or you can like one day and then do nothing another day. Or you can even do a combination. You do first kind of 20 or 30 minutes of concentration, let's say on the breath, or doing body scan, or like 15 minutes breath, then another 15 minutes body scan. And then after that, you relax and see if you can just do nothing and give attention to any experience that arises. So kind of warm up, basically, your ability to give attention to something other than thought. And then do nothing and just watch for any emotion or energy or experience or tension in the body arise, and give it your attention where it arises. In the deeper stages of doing nothing meditation, this just starts happening automatically. So whatever discomfort arises, any emotion that arises, the consciousness immediately gives it attention. And that happens automatically at the deeper stages of spiritual practice. It also happens automatically in deeper stages of do nothing meditation. But in the beginning, where thought really has this big gravitational pull, it's very difficult to understand what is even do nothing meditation about. That's about giving attention to all the experience. But if the mind is very talkative and there's a lot of this pull, then first you will need to exhaust this pull. So if you're doing strictly do nothing, like the first 1 hour, you might be just thinking, and then they will just... So you can actually combine, you can kind of deliberately go into this direction by doing concentration meditation in the beginning. Practice both.
Thank you very Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And thank you for confirming that it's more about this identifying with the thoughts and like unhinging from the thoughts and just like placing your attention in like any other sensation.
Exactly, unhinging your attention from the thoughts.
Okay, and how long, like how much practice on a daily basis would you recommend?
Well, if you're serious about it, I would say that you should meditate for at least an hour or an hour and a half.
Okay.
Because like, so 20, 30-minute meditation, it may be
It's just like a
good.
warm up.
Yeah, it may be good. Like, if you're just doing, it's like if you're just doing if you want to stay in the dream state, but you just want some like mental hygiene, like brushing your teeth. Oh, that's just 20 minutes. And a lot of people like that. And I had a period when I was like that, right? So this is just 20 minutes of calmness. I'm just sort of clearing my mind, calming myself a little bit, like preparing myself for the next day. You can do this, but it doesn't lead to realization. So if you want realization, if you want to get out of the dream state, usually the very interesting stuff, the kind of stuff similar to what happens in psychedelics, only begins to happen at the 1 hour mark. So I would say aim to meditate for at least 1 hour, ideally 1 hour and a half or more, like 1 hour and a half to 2 hours.
Okay. Per day. In a single session or like twice a day?
In a single session. So that's very important, because like every time the session, you start a new session, you will first have to go through this habitual fixation on thought, and then into the deeper layers of feeling and ultimately insight. So so that's why, like, I oftentimes recommend, let's say, an hour and a half or 2 hour meditation, where the first half an hour is concentration, and then you kind of let go and just flow with it. The truest meditation, basically, is not anticipating any experience, not clinging to any experience, just opening yourself to anything that will happen there. It's just that when the pull is very strong to the thought, it's kind of boring. It might like take the first hour to like go through this first layer of boredom, constant overthinking, restlessness, and then things start to happen. So I would say that at least like an hour and a half to 2 hours if you want to be serious about it.
And what's a good sign that I've reached axis concentration?
Is that you've reached what?
Axis concentration, also common like Theravada Buddhism. Maybe it's just terminology. Axis concentration. I believe it's when you're able to hold your attention in a single thing, like say the breath or any other sensation, without interruptions, with getting distracted by the mind or any other sensation.
Well, we just defined it.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to confirm in case you were familiar with this.
Like you see, by itself, so the practice of holding you see, enlightenment is, first of all, the transformation of the individual and the unburdening of the individual of the pain of conditioning, which gives rise to ill will, judgments, discontent, misery, sorrow, things like that. The ability to focus on something without distraction of the mind is actually, it's a proxy ability, because this ability is required then to focus on the emotional pain and tensions that you will need to focus on in order to truly explore them, accept them, and let go of them. Right? So by itself, your ability to focus on the breath for, like, say, 10 seconds without any distraction from the mind, if it does not translate later into the exploration of the body, tensions, emotions, and that everything that you have previously rejected in your experience doesn't mean much. You can have this ability, you can train yourself to be able to concentrate very, very well while remaining pretty much untransformed and still angry, reactive. And actually, most people who practice Buddhist meditation are this way. So don't put it as a kind of, it's like the difference between bodybuilding and powerlifting. You know, if you can concentrate on a candle for like 10 seconds or like a minute without a single thought, it's like the same as having big muscles, but like beautiful muscles. So great, you know, great skill. But it has nothing to do with the actual opening up of the heart, with the actual transformation of the individual, if you don't apply this ability to your suffering and your pain, right? I mean, it's such a good analogy, because do big muscles correlate with your ability to lift a lot of weights? Yes, a lot, right? So if you have this ability to concentrate, it's probably much easier to also to in the process of purification to start like the real thing. It correlates a lot, but for every like huge bodybuilder, there's like a skinny guy who can lift much more because he practiced differently.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it's important, but don't make it the goal in itself.
Yeah, I can see how that can be almost a distraction, or
Yes, and it is a
yeah.
distraction for a lot of people. So there's like there's a set of people who approach the path in a very technical way, like
Right.
how quickly you can concentrate, like going through jhanas, attaining cessation. That's not about that. Like those are kind of, I call them technical attainments. You can be very good at those and still carry a lot of conditioning and be very easily triggered.
Right. And so, and is the key there then to also, so maybe that's why it's important to also to do nothing meditation, where you're just allowing.
Because nothing meditation is not about that. Yeah.
Right.
Nothing meditation is just basically, I'm open to whatever experience, and then the mind starts exploring the unconscious. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can actually kind of push away the virtue of do nothing meditation with doing too much concentration and focusing too much on technical attainments. So remember, it's a tool, right? So just like a big beautiful muscle is actually a tool to lift. It's not the goal in itself. So those abilities can be important to develop, but they apply to your heart, they apply to your emotions, they apply to your body. They're not a goal in themselves.
Right. It's like I think Ramana Maharashi said, like the thorn to take the other thorn out with, or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right.
Thank you, Artem.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, go ahead, please.
No, I was just gonna say, like you mentioned that you're in California. I'm in San Francisco, so
Oh yeah, come visit me then. You can even schedule a meeting on my Calendly. You can just schedule an online, the one-on-one meeting, and just put in notes. I'm going to be visiting in person.
Awesome. Okay, I'll reach out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you very much.
My pleasure, my friend. Thanks.
Nice to finally meet with you, face to face and
yeah,
speak with you.
Yeah, please. Yes, it's people say it's a very different experience usually.
I can imagine.
So please come. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
Bye, my friend. Okay,
Bye.
Margie, I really want to just have some time for you. Hi.
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 How are you?
Good.
So I feel a bit stuck on, I think it's probably like my biggest trauma issue that resurfaces, I don't know, almost like every other day, but also I guess when interacting with people. So I guess my biggest thing was like abandonment and rejection. So I still feel I have a lot of resentment towards people, and it's calmed down, but I feel it's like it's so hard to let go. And there's moments where I am able to like forgive, and yeah, the heart is open, and I can of course I understand all sides, and how we also all have similar pains, but I don't know what it is. I can't let it go. I don't there might also still be trauma in the body that is, I mean, that can't be forced to just like all come out at once to be finished. This also keeps me stuck in following patterns and like, not being able to let go of the mind. Yeah, so I don't know if you have any advice.
Yeah, I think I understand the question. Here's my response. Don't try to let go of anything. Don't try to actively change your experience. Instead, aim to accept the experience that you're currently having. Forgiveness, true, authentic forgiveness, is not possible without experiencing the anger, without experiencing the bitterness, without experiencing sometimes even hatred towards the person who have wronged you. It's not possible. The true, authentic forgiveness is not possible. So right now you're going through those difficult things and your mind telling you, oh, but you should forgive. Oh, you should let go. Your focus shouldn't be on changing what you're experiencing, but on accepting whatever you're experiencing deeper. So if anger arises in meditation, let yourself be angry. If you feel bitter towards someone, allow this feeling. Allow yourself to be bitter. If you and then the anger and bitterness, if you stay with them for long enough, if you allow them for long enough, they are morphed into tears and sadness and grief. And you need to allow that also. That's how forgiveness happens. That's how letting go happens. Letting go happens through experiencing, and it's never on your own volition. It's never just because you want to let go. Wanting to let go of something is actually at the same time resisting it, because if you want to let go of something, then you say, I don't like it. I'd rather it not be here. And the true practice is saying, okay, it's here. I'm okay with it. I will feel it. I will experience it. I will explore it. I will hug it. I will accept it. I will welcome it. And letting go happens when you don't expect it. And forgiveness happens when there's no more pain. The true forgiveness is when the pain of mistreatment that you have suppressed and denied in yourself because it was not safe to express is no longer there. That's true forgiveness. Otherwise, we just pretend to forgive. You can't force it. Actually, forcing it is in some way abusive. It's saying, you must forgive. You must ignore. You must ignore this pain, You can't ignore it. So just cry. Just cry. And it's hard.
It's just been so long. I mean, I've had 8 years of shadow work already. I just want it to be done. Like since the glimpse and like since the real shadow work start, and sometimes I don't know if also it's like maybe it's become a pattern. I don't know if that's possible, like because before the anger was so suppressed, so now I don't know if I'm just like, now I'm just holding on to it. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm also maybe looking. I've asked this before from other teachers, and like I'm looking for reassurance that maybe that is normal that it takes this long.
That is normal. That is absolutely normal. It takes time. I mean, it took me a lot of time. A lot of time. Like I was 40 at self-realization, and I was abused. I brought up. I wasn't brought up in a loving, like in a truly loving family. But for example, I was never hit as a child. So I mean, many people were abused much more than I have been. And I was relatively emotionally mature. At 40 years old, I went already through a lot of shit, and I had lots of depressions and breakups and things like that. And yet, still, even with all of that, it took me like I cried for every day for about 3 years, and then I kept crying, just not every day. And now I cry like maybe every once a couple of weeks, but and not for long. But there's a lot of pain. It's okay. It's okay. Like, I know it feels endless. I know it feels, and you really want it to go away, but there's no magic bullet. There's no magic bullet. Whatever comes up in feeling, you just gotta feel it. Just gotta feel it. And the mind cannot let go of the patterns
And that also, I guess,
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's kind of also keeping that the pain, repressed pain, is keeping the mind going.
Yeah,
Because
that's right.
it's hard not to blame it.
Yeah. So there's a lot of there's an illusion
into overthinking or bad patterns.
That's right. So some people will tell you in spirituality, and they would be doing you a disservice, that the mind creates, that you kind of create all your drama, that by thinking about this, you create this suffering, and suffering is optional. Just don't think about it. I mean, these people are usually experts of suppression, and the truth is that the obsessive, repetitive thinking is a symptom of unfelt pain. It's a manifestation of it. Why would you think about something if you're no longer hurting about it? If you're no longer hurting about it, you don't need to think about it. You just naturally, effortlessly stop thinking about what's something that no longer bothers you. So if you repetitively think about the same things over and over again, it means that there is some pain to be felt. So every time you catch yourself thinking about something repetitively, it means that you need to find what is it that needs to be felt right now. The more you feel, the more thought starts to develop. So every thought that is kind of goes in circles, it means that something is unfelt. So it's more of a manifestation of the emotion that still need to be experienced, and the deeper peace that needs to happen with what has happened to you, rather than a problem in itself. It's more of a symptom of a problem rather than a problem, the obsessive thinking.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. That's really
Does that make sense?
reassuring. Yeah, thank you.
It was good talking to you.
Thank you too. Thank you for bringing me to your community. It's really good group, and it'll help to bring things up, because I've been a lot of the time isolating for like the past 5 years. So it's great. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, it's my pleasure, and we're very happy to have you. So I've seen some of the things you post. It's wonderful. So please, please keep doing what you're doing. And yeah, it's tough. Tears, anger, it's all normal. Keep meditating. It's going to take some time, but you're going to love it sooner or later, because it's liberating.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Okay, so what do we have? So we are at the closer to the end of the meeting. So I have some let's see if we have any comments that I need to that are worth addressing. Yeah, not too many. So Maxime says, "Hello, dear Artem. Today is the Father Day. Love you, brother. Bless your heart." Well, the same to you, Max. All right. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, I'm going to close up this. Okay, so once again, please subscribe, comment, and share. Subscribe to my other social platforms. So we're active on TikTok and Twitter and Threads and Instagram, of course, Instagram. So please join my Discord. Please support our work also if you can, if you're in a position to do so. Please, any donation does have to be big. Like even small donations are very much appreciated. So. And I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Or if you wish to see me, you can also join the Discord server, write to me there, although sometimes I'm not very active there, or schedule one-on-one meetings with me. So all the links are in the comments section, in the chat section on YouTube. And thank you very much for coming. It was wonderful. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Love you all. Best of luck to you on the spiritual path. You're all beautiful. Freedom is your birthright. Please keep practicing. You're all doing great. Bye.